they're meant to fly. Planes, they ain't supposed to fall from the sky. But if they do, they'll leave behind more than a piece or two. Planes just be flying, I know you think I'm lying. The USA, they be hiding the truth, and I ain't buying. Planes, they're meant to fly. Planes, they ain't supposed to fall from the sky. But if they do, they'll leave behind more than a piece or two. They'll leave behind more than I know you think I'm lying. The USA, they be hiding the truth, and I ain't buying. Planes, they're meant to fly. Planes, they ain't supposed to fall from the sky. But if they do, they'll leave behind more than a piece or two. Planes just be flying, I know you think I'm lying. The USA, they be hiding the truth, and I ain't buying. They'll leave behind more than a piece or two. They'll leave behind more than a piece or two.
Ooh, what up, everybody? Welcome to the stream tonight. I'm your host, Ashton Forbes. Tonight, we're going to be talking about science. I'm excited to get into it, everybody. So let's see, who do we got here today? We got a bunch of people on here today, guys. Thank you for being here early. Probably more than I can shout out. I'll just shout out a few people. Pepper Zogzen, appreciate you, man. Nice. Hey, what's up, Natai? I haven't seen you around. Nice to see you. Cole, hello. His Highness Alex. I think I saw Heather in the chat as well. Heather Birdie, good to see you, my moderators. Hey there, Kathy D. Nice to see you. Yeah, that's a good jam. Appreciate it, man. That's a fun one. Hey, Carter, good to see you as well. Let's get right into it, guys. I got some basketball to watch later tonight, so I want to get into it and do a little bit of science. Hey, Juan, what's up, everybody? Appreciate you. Shout out to Mick East and Loser Jeff. Okay, I'll do a quick recap on the stuff that's happening today. So first of all, I'm getting so much stuff that I can no longer respond to DMs. So if you send DMs to me, do not expect a response. The only DMs I probably will reply to if it's something highly relevant or like podcast requests like that in general. Please do not be offended if I do not send you a response. I get an inexorable amount of messages and emails, and I simply can no longer keep up. I guess that's just what happens when you get, I don't know, a ridiculous amount of followers that are out there. So please do not take it personally if I don't respond to you. It's very unlikely that I will respond to you if you DM me. So no problem. T-Wolves, baby. What up? Yeah, I mean, if you know I'm a Vikings fan, so you should know I'm probably a T-Wolves fan as well. Let's take a quick look at some of the comings and goings on Twitter, and then we're going to get right into the science today. We're not going to waste any time. So if people are watching this on the recording, hopefully you won't have to wait too long to check stuff out. So what happened today? I'm going to start for reverse order here as well. One of the big things right away was this claim that came up that I started getting spammed with about something's wrong with the reticle or whatever, that the reticle doesn't look right or something on the drone, that the reticle should be, the reticle should overlay over the top of the drone. So I looked into it, looked at some people's replies that were out there, confirmed conclusively that no, it's not true. The reticle does not appear should not necessarily appear over the plane. Somebody else provided another example. I put in the reply by Gluten Sloth right here. Conclusively shows you can see the reticle literally disappear right here. Says right here as well, it's only if the overlay presents a transparent color that these combined radar and underlay show through. So once again, yet another debunk has been proven 100% conclusively false. And it shouldn't be a surprise. The debunkers commonly will lie related to stuff like this. They did the same thing when they tried to argue months ago that the drones don't come in this, they don't have thermal color, a rainbow palette like this. And I have like at least 6 videos that show that IR does come in blue thermal, just like this, with the rainbow palettes as well. And we saw that. So, I mean, just to be 100% clear, you guys can clip this if you want or whatever. I will no longer be addressing claims made by debunkers that don't come with proof. Now, they keep saying that they have proof, but having someone say this is what something should look like is not proof. That's just what we call a bare assertion. So in logic and reason, when you make a bare assertion, the onus is on you to prove it to be true. So in order to prove this to be true, they would have had to talk to FLIR experts that use these systems and have those people on the record with their real name saying, yes, I've used these systems. This should not look this way. This is why it's wrong. Just saying, hey, I don't think this looks right, and then demanding that I give a response. The only reason why I did it this time is that I want to end that permanently at this time. Like we've shown now that they are 100% liars. This has been conclusively debunked as well. So you know they're acting in bad faith from this point going forward. You should have known that already anyway. Once again, they're paying, literally, they admitted to paying hundreds of dollars to promote fake debunks like this. At this point, they've probably been paying thousands of dollars. It's really mentally unwell behavior. They really do need serious help. I hope they honestly get it. But just to be 100% clear, I will not be addressing any more debunks by the people that have been lying about the videos, that have been making fake debunks, that have been lying about me. They're caught on record doing all 3 of these things conclusively. So please do not expect that from me anymore. If they try to post any more debunks, simply just link back to this one now. So I'm going to save this link to this right here, right now, in my Discord. I have a list of quick links. So I'm going to save this in my quick links. Debunkers, fake, reticle. That way, anytime anyone asks me in the future to address some fake claims or whatever, like I'm just going to link this one showing that they've been lying about the videos. Super annoying. I wish they would stop, but it's up to them, you know. And a lot of them, too, at this point are just like envious or clout chasing, right? They're trying to get their own little followers. So don't follow these people that are lying about the videos or whatever. Don't give them the attention that they want that's out there. It's all a matter of just simply trying to, they're trying to distract, right? Yeah, they're trying to distract everybody from the science. So this is why I want to show, we'll start with this, and then we're going to dig into the science right after this. And yeah, the funniest part is they don't address any of the claims that we make. Like you saw, I posted to Mick West, and that's actually one of the things. So also 2 podcasts dropped today. I wish everybody didn't drop their podcasts at the exact same time, but Man in America drops tonight at 10 o'clock Eastern time, which is in a couple hours. I'm going to try to end right before that so you guys can go watch it. Good interview with Man in America. I've gone on with him twice. So this post just here, like this is literally the debunkers that are posted that fake debunk and the ones that are paying the money. So this TJP of Texas is the guy that's literally paying hundreds and thousands of dollars to promote Crishley's debunks, and Crishley is the one that fabricated that fake debunk about the reticles. So these people are literally spending full-time jobs. They're spending full-time jobs trying to debunk me. This is pathological behavior. This is like, you need to like actually go talk to a psychiatrist and like go, like when the people say go touch grass, like this is the very definition right here. This is the very definition of like, you need to go outside, you need to go touch grass, you need to find something else to do with your life that's productive. And the worst part is that these people aren't trying to solve the case. Imagine if they put this energy into trying to solve the case, we could probably get answers from the US government, but they're not. Nobody's putting their energy into solving the case. They are trying to make the videos go away. They're trying to make the case go away. The videos are 100% real. I know that the videos are real. So when people do this, it comes off very dishonest and it comes off very suspicious as well. Now, I'm not going to harp on that too much. The Blurry Creatures podcast was awesome as well. The only thing that I'm not going to necessarily retract it, but I talked about that in this video. I talked about the VFX going back to January of 2023. And I had partially retracted that, saying that we couldn't prove that it was on the little collage because you can apparently keep editing and overlaying it. and somebody provided evidence, not proof, but evidence that it had been updated in December. But it actually doesn't matter because no matter how you look at it, and can I pull it up real quick? I'll pull it up real quick so you guys can see. I want you guys to have the context of what I'm talking about here. Oh crap. Okay. I have to switch share my screen. Hold on. Okay. So this was the thing that we found, right? And you look down here and you can see the actual comparison that was already, they added it in here. So the fact that somebody went out of their way to add this in here, the uploader did, shows bad faith intent right away. So this actually, even though we can't prove this was here in January of 2023, it still proves that whoever uploaded this did so with dishonest intent, because the only person that would add this in here to troll would be one of the people trying to debunk the videos. So that's why I didn't ask Luke and Nate to remove it from the Blurry Creatures podcast. So when you listen to the Blurry Creatures podcast and I talk about that we had proof that they planted this, it still does look very like almost 100% proof still, even after that this was planted on the internet, this comparison. Because here's the comparison that was been falsely used to debunk the videos right there. And then once we caught them, they pulled it out. So this is no longer there. If you go back to this, where this is from, the source, they removed this after we called them out on it. So again, it shows dishonest intent. So I just want to make that correction. Otherwise, the Blurry Creatures podcast was great. You guys 100% need to check it out. It was awesome. Okay, so let's go back. Let's get through some of the other stuff real quick. Here it is. Close this. Oh, somebody just donated. Wow, thank you very much. Brain Scratch. I've been watching your videos for like a month now. All of your 3-hour videos I watch, I listen thoroughly during the day. I've always missed the chance for the Discord link. Please drop it. Oh, yeah, 100%, man. 100%. You don't need to pay me for that. I had somebody today, quick story, guys, while I'm pulling up, making a new Discord link here as well. Somebody today said that they wanted some questions for their dad. I responded. I still try to respond as much as I can to people. I gave them the questions and the answers that they wanted. And then they said, "Hey, how can I donate to you? I don't have a job and I'm broke, but I want to donate like at least $1 to you." And I told them, "I appreciate your thoughtfulness, but I don't want to take any money from anybody that needs their money. Anybody that's broke, anybody that needs their money, needs a job, whatever, please don't send me money. I do not want to be taking money from people that need it for themselves at all. I've never asked anybody for money." So, again, I love the sentiment. I love that people are like so willing to do that because they support the case so much. But I don't want people's money like that. And you don't need to send me money to get a question asked either. Thank you. So there you go. There's the Discord invite from my man or woman, Brain Scratch. Appreciate you. Yeah. Hey, Gerald. How's it going, man? Good to see you there as well. And hey, Skeet Moss. Yeah, the interview with the lady from Frank TV was also really good. Yeah, I'm some people have actually reached out to me at this point to join their streaming platforms. And I potentially will be considering that, but I'm at a very weird spot right now where like I'm trying to hang on to my job and focus on that, but I'm obviously have a ton of stuff to do related to this, and it's just getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. So it's getting very difficult. If there does come a time where I switch over full time to doing this, where I can actually support myself on this, right now I cannot. Not making nearly enough money to be able to support myself on this. But if there is, then I will potentially consider some of that, and I may consider it if it's a good offer. We'll see. It's hard, guys. But thank you very much for your support. I've been putting a lot of stuff on this, a lot of work into this in my free time. And thank you, Crypto. Nice to see you. Thank you, Rex, for the nice words. Appreciate it, man. Have you seen the Carl Nell interview? So real quick, I've heard the Carl Nell interview. Basically, he says that he's sure there's aliens. He's sure that there's craft and stuff, whatever. I believe him. I believe him, man. And these guys, and the funny part is like, we've scooped all these people. Like these people are trying to catch up to us now. Like we are shown that we have literal warp drive technology and wormhole technology, and we have floaty superconductive harmonic orbs. That's actually what they are. I realized they literally are superconductive harmonic orbs. That's what they literally are. And this is bigger disclosure than anybody else. Everybody else is just trying to catch up to us at this point. That's the true reality of it. So I support Carl Nell. I support all the people who are in disclosure trying to get the truth. I always have. But we've scooped them. Simple as that. We beat them to the punch. There's going to be no denying that. All the evidence is out there on my Twitter profile and on my live streams for the last 9 months. So when the stuff gets proven true, those people don't deserve the credit. That's just the truth of it. So, yeah. One other thing I will say, I'm going to keep this very vague, but I have spoken to some relatively powerful, prominent people about the case in general, and they are taking it seriously. So, I hope the AARO comes back and admits what we did to this plane and admits the videos are real, and then we can move on. Because the true thing I'll say, guys, is that I don't want to do this for the rest of my life. I want to focus on other stuff. I want to focus on the science. I want to make terrible takes about political, social issues and stuff like that. It's a lot less stressful than doing all this. So I do hope that we can get the truth from the government and get to a closure on this, and then we can start moving on how we get the science out there to the world. Hey, Chad and Sherry, I did see as well the clips from Ian Carroll with Chad and Sherry Investigate Earth. If you guys haven't checked out that interview, it was really good. I just finished downloading it right before this stream. So after this stream, I'm going to clip together the parts where they talked about me, because anytime anybody talks about me, talks about the case, talks about MH370 videos, I usually try to retweet them because I want to get more people out there doing it. A lot of people said, like, if you disappear, the whole case is going to go away. And I'm like, it probably won't. But like, I do want this to be like a communal effort. I don't want this to be all about me. Like, I've tied my reputation to the videos and what have you, but I'm trying to make this more mainstream so that it's like other people are looking into it, investigating it, trying to figure out what happened. I'm even open to other theories. I mean, even Ken's theory of like maybe the portal is fake and everything else isn't. Sure, I got nothing against that, man. The only problem I have is when they try to falsely discredit the witnesses. Like, it's super scumbag to try to say that, like, somebody's witness sighting where they clearly saw the plane, they were in the right location, and then try to claim they couldn't have seen the plane. It's fucking nuts. Stop trying to discredit real people that really saw the plane. They put everything on their lives. One guy lost his job for seeing the plane. Like, stop trying to discredit these people. Stop saying they couldn't have seen stuff. Like, that's extremely messed up behavior, especially for people that are like, believe in 10 rows on an Excel spreadsheet. Witnesses are more credible than an Excel spreadsheet. It's not even close. An Excel spreadsheet can be manipulated within like that. It's easy to fake. I could fake the Excel spreadsheet, the Inmarsat data, in less than a day. It's just silly. Yeah. Nobody saw the plane. Imagine Ashton solves MH370, moves on to Epstein. So true thing is, if I were able to solve the case, the next thing I would do is I would start interviewing other people like flat earthers, like 9/11 conspiracy theorists, because I want to be open-minded. I don't believe in those things, but I am willing to have a discussion with those people about it, right? And I want to hear their side of it, because I want people to do the same thing with me when I'm presenting something that seems incredible that's out there. And then, yes, I want to help out people like Ian Carroll. Like, I would love to help out Ian Carroll and be on his team and help do research for him and get content out there for him. I think we can make an incredibly powerful media journalist organization that does real investigative journalism. I want to do stuff like that. But the reality is, like, right now, I've got to focus on MH370 stuff because there's just so much going on, man. So much going on. I wish it wasn't the case, but like, things are getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and we got to roll with it right now. We got to roll with it. Okay. And yeah, the truth is, the flat Earth guys seem like cool guys, man. Especially like Death and those other dudes that like interviewed me as well. Like, they're cool guys. They're funny as hell. Like, I don't necessarily believe with all of them, but that's fine. We don't have to agree with everything to get along, you know. And they seem fun, but the reality with that, and like what I told them, because they were like, hey, I want to do a debate with you. The problem is, like, you guys see what the debunkers are doing. They are taking every single thing I say out of context. Everything. If I go do even a debate with those people, they're going to say Ashton's a flat earther or whatever, right? They already are saying that, even though I'm literally not. So at the moment, I just can't do it. But in the near future, I hope to. And, you know, whatever. If things die down a little bit, then maybe I'll do it there too. Okay. Sorry, let's keep focused on the task at hand here. So then the other two things real quick were two people already refused to debate with me. One of them was Nick West. I call him Nick West because he literally can't even spell my name right. Aston, like, dude can't even spell my name right. So Mick West once again was asked for a fifth time, 5 times by 5 different people. Have tried to set up a debate. This time, Pat vetted, very good offer. You know, he wants to set it up. He refuses to do it because he keeps lying and saying that the videos are proven fake. The only way to prove the video's fake is to produce the hoaxer. That's it. Again, I've said this from the beginning. I've not changed my tune. Find the hoaxer or find the plane. At this point, finding the plane isn't even enough. You need to like actually find the plane fully intact with bodies inside of it in a black box, because that's the only way you couldn't have a debris field. So good luck with that. Or again, find the hoaxer. Like the debunkers claim they found all the assets. Okay, find the hoaxer. Like less than 5 people could have downloaded the cloud picture. By the way, the cloud picture got conclusively refuted. Somebody did technical analysis on that, proved that there's no evidence whatsoever. The cloud image predates the videos. There's manual updates on the cloud images that shouldn't exist. The website literally says that they did a script, but there's manual updates for some reason. It's very suspicious. So just saying, the cloud thing has been completely blown out of the water, and it wasn't even by me. It was by somebody else who was completely independent. It's hilarious. So Mick West, once again, dodged again. And here's the questions he again has refused. So I've addressed every question. I've addressed every single debunk. I've even addressed the debunk that just came out yesterday within 24 hours. And Mick West will not even tell us how you can get a 2D cloud picture into a 3D rendered environment. It's a very simple question. Very simple question. You're claiming there's a 2D cloud picture in our videos that have 2 different perspectives, that have 3D lighting, that have evolving clouds, and the clouds match up perfectly in 2 videos that are perfectly in sync. And from the drone video, we can see there's 3D dynamic parallax when the drone zooms in. So where is the counter argument? Why won't the debunkers address the evidence? Again, why are the debunkers refusing to address the evidence? The debunkers need to come out and admit that there's no 2D cloud picture in here and that the videos require a full 3D rendered environment. When the debunkers address the fact that there requires a full 3D rendered environment to make these videos, then I will begin to address any more future debunks. But without that, I'm not going to address any more debunks from this point going forward. No new debunks will be addressed until the debunkers admit it requires a 3D rendered environment. You can clip it. You heard it here first, guys. Hey, Glutton the Sloth. Glutton the Sloth was the one that found the evidence. Thank you for being here today. Appreciate you. Did I see Alien Girl? Hey, Alien Girl. Good to see you as well. Guys, support Alien Girl as well and her YouTube channel. She does content about the UFO community. I don't really like the UFO community, but I like Alien Girl. Okay. So then the next one was, he wasn't even the only one. So then we went to Mick West, or to Jeff Wise. Jeff Wise is one of these people that's been grifting MH370. He was in the Netflix documentary. I know for a fact that Jeff Wise was begging the Blaze to have him on. And that's when I went on with Glenn Beck. So Jeff Wise was begging them to have him on. I don't think they did because the dude is full of shit. And obviously a CNN brain. Someone else pointed out that he's retweeting Joy Reid. This guy's retweeting MSNBC garbage. So Jeff Wise dodged it as well. I actually couldn't link to Jeff Wise because he's got me blocked. So instead, I went ahead and screenshotted it. And it's weird because he got a DM by Vetted. Then he claims he didn't get the DM. Jeff Wise, like, nobody follows Jeff Wise. Nobody, like, messages Jeff Wise. So for him to claim he didn't get a direct message is pretty damn weird. And then he says he's not trying to debate somebody who is a flat out fraud. Like, Jeff Wise is a literal grifter trying to sell books, trying to sell content related to MH370. He's the literal thing that debunkers claim I am. And he's 100% a fraud. I have proof. I showed screenshots of me trying to get him to look at the evidence. Mike McKay saw the lithium-ion battery fire. I'm trying to solve the case by explaining to the public what the evidence is and what it means. Yeah, well, you're ignoring all the witnesses, dude. I listened to his show and gave him feedback. I literally listened to his show. It was terrible. His podcast was unlistenable. It's just so boring and just ignores everything that's important. As for Kate T, I didn't really have any dealings with her because I didn't find her story to be credible. This is a woman who was in the agreed upon spot of MH370. She objectively saw the plane. He doesn't want anything to do with her. He doesn't want to even look into the evidence of it. Jeff Wise is a guy that showed up on the Netflix documentary, if you watch the Netflix documentary, and he starts trying to present this weird narrative of Blaine Gibson being a Russian spy because Blaine Gibson found debris from MH370 in Africa. And the reason why Jeff Wise did this is because Jeff Wise thought the plane went to Russia. And if there's debris that washes up in Africa, there's no chance it could have gone to Russia. So Jeff Wise's brain, of course, goes, well, Blaine Gibson, this old man on a beach, old expatriate, which means an American living abroad on a beach, tries to say that he's a Russian spy that planted the debris. Like, the dude's crazy. He got ridiculed heavily, and it was deserved. The fact you're trying to like vilify some old innocent man was just like the craziest shit ever. I remember watching it even before I looked at this case. I watched that part, and that's when I turned it off because I knew Jeff Wise, even before I even looked into this case, I knew Jeff Wise was 100% full of shit. And despite that, I still gave him a chance. I tried to reach out to him. I tried to show him the evidence repeatedly. Look at this post, guys. I'm being critical. Your biggest mistake was trusting the ping data and assuming it couldn't be falsified. If you take more stock in the actual human witnesses, you'd see their data tells a much different story, and almost all of their sightings line up. I'm going to vindicate just about all of them. This plane didn't fly for 6 hours. The plane is on fire, isn't lasting 6 hours. If the data was legit, they would have released it right away. They falsified it to fool people like you and the independent group. The obvious thing is that it was a fire. Mike McKay saw it from an oil rig. No, he didn't see it crash. He saw the fire initiate. Witnesses on the coast heard the loud noises consistent with the battery. Witnesses saw the plane flying low because the plane may have been depressurized from the fire. The pilots were trying to keep them alive. Pilot goes to Penang because, like the Wired article said, simplest solutions are the best. KT sees the plane later with no navigation lights. Power was out, glowing due to the fire suppression devices having been deployed. Fire breaks containment. Gas seeps through the plane. Halon causes it to glow orange in the pitch black. As for the 1825 reboot, is probably falsified. Actually, it was Dan Hanley that argued that the reboot attempt could have actually been them taking over the plane by manual control or by remote control. Interesting thought. The first reports are that the plane lost contact at 1840. That's the time of our videos. It was likely tracked the whole way. They made a fake story, changed the time to 1822 as the last radar contact. Remember, they didn't release the radar data right away. They had to come up with a cover story. I mean, what more does Jeff Wise want, man? So anyway, he dodged it. He dodged the debate. I posted also my witness from Catherine T. Catherine T literally told me that she felt pressured into changing the time of her sighting. She said she was pressured to change the time of her sighting by the experts because it disproved all the experts wrong. I don't know what more you guys want. Okay, enough of that. Wild, huh? How hard would it be to send fake pings to Inmarsat? Not really sure, but the U.S. government can teleport a plane. Sending some fake pings is fucking easy. I think the simpler way is that they manipulated the data and hacked it afterwards. I mean, the only reason why you don't release the Inmarsat pings the next day is because you need to falsify them. So I don't think that they spoofed. They didn't have another 777 or anything spoofing a track. There's just no need for that. Hacking data is simple. So they just simply change the data. And that's the reason why when you look at the data, it changes. Like the data itself is irrefutable. When you just go look at the actual data, I'm going to show everybody right now how ridiculous it is. There are dozens of pages of data. And then you get down here to 1840. And after 1840, it's just like on the hour, every hour on the 41 minute, there's one ping. That's it. What? And there's like this clear pattern. The channel here changes as well from what it was all the time before this. Like, guys, they just inserted 10 rows of Excel data. That's it. That's 5 hours of the plane flying, 10 rows of data. And they didn't even map the 2313 ping here. They didn't even map it on the ARCs because it didn't fit with their data. Like, nobody can look at this and not think that there's something suspicious going on here. This is why all the independent group people are frauds. I would go to court and prove that they're frauds because, like, that's how much evidence I have. A jury is going to look at this and they're going to know right away those people are full of shit. 100%. Nobody's looking at that and going, oh, yeah, that's totally normal that all the data changes at 1840 the same time that the Subang Air Traffic Control said the plane lost contact. Right? Wild, huh? Yeah. So what happened? MH370 videos happened, man. That's the reason for the cover up. That's the reason. I guess I want to get into the other stuff here, but I will show the videos very, very briefly. They're only 1 minute long each. So this is what really happened. You know, don't ask me why the drone's following. All this is in my tweets. So again, if you want to be educated on it, go through my highlights. The reason why I've made my highlights of all the MH370 stuff is you can just scroll through my highlights. Go to my profile, go to the highlights, scroll through the highlights. You will get every single answer that you are thinking of. Every single question you could have asked has already been addressed. Every single one. There's no unique questions out there that people haven't asked me. The most common ones I get are what happened to the plane, where'd the plane go, what happened to the passengers. All of it's been questions have been addressed. Again, please just go do your own work. Please go check it out. I can't address everybody's questions. Also, why is the drone there? Why did they do this? All these questions have been addressed. Every single one. Every single one. There are highlight videos as well. I have flight path explainer videos. I have there's a news explainer video. There's a satellite video explainer video. They're all on my YouTube channel. You get the YouTube channel you guys are on right now. You can literally find explainer videos. Just go to my video section. You can find them. So all of those are there as well. So that is this is the drone video. I'll go to the part with the slow-mo zap. This is what we're looking at here. This is literally a wormhole that we're seeing. We're seeing these orbs. They have some kind of gravity manipulations consistent with a warp drive. And then they're inducing a wormhole on the airplane. I honestly do, guys, wish I had a more palatable answer. A lot of people don't want to believe that. And they would, if I were to say this was cloaking or something, more people would believe it, but that's not the truth. The truth is what we're looking at here is a wormhole. That's the truth. Whether or not that's the hardest thing to believe. You know, the simpler things to believe would be that we annihilated the plane or that we cloaked the plane. In fact, the Freescale Semiconductors is linked to advanced cloaking technology. But that's not what we're looking at here. There's like only a less than 1% chance that this is a cloaking or annihilation event. It's like a 99% chance that's a wormhole. So now this is a good question. What are the repercussions for the United States if this is finally accepted to be real? The answer is none. There will be no repercussions for the United States. There will be no repercussions for the people who are responsible for this. That's probably not the answer people want to hear, but that's how our world works. In fact, I would argue that the majority of Americans, 60% or more, would completely forgive the people that did this, and even say that it's potentially justified if it was preventing China from getting this technology. A lot of Americans would say, if we have this kind of super weapon technology, then, you know, abducting the airplane like this, assuming we didn't kill them all. Now, if we killed all these people, like that's unforgivable. Unforgivable, no way about it. Like that's horrific. So I'm hoping that somehow these people lived, or it was an accident where we messed up on the operation. We didn't mean to like have them all die from the fire or whatever. But there will be no consequences. So I hope people aren't out there thinking there's going to be consequences. The best case scenario would be that the families are allowed to sue the United States government and like Boeing for civil things. That would be like the only thing, because I'm sure there's some statute that protects the United States government and says that like they're not legally responsible because this was some type of espionage operation or something like that, which sucks. But end of the day, I just want to get the truth, you know, and I'll let the other people worry about that stuff. I will help the families sue the people that have been lying about these videos, though. I have all the evidence. I'll provide them all the evidence. I will even help them with the court arguments against the people. We'll use the Sandy Hook precedent. So Sandy Hook, if you guys aren't familiar, was when Alex Jones got fined he got $1 billion judgment against him for lying on TV to about it was like 19 children that were gunned down. He said it didn't happen. So I'm going to use that same precedent, help the families of the lawyers, sue people like Corridor Crew. We'll take all the money the Corridor Crew has. We'll take their YouTube channel. We'll do the same to the Lore Lodge. We'll do the same to Mick West. We'll make sure that there's no Mick Wests ever exist again. You know, that nobody wants to be Mick West. And I think that would be the best thing we can do in terms of helping humanity, you know, proceed forward. Okay, we're going to get started here with the video.
Video was sponsored by
All Hold on. There's one. We got our man here. I missed another one. BC, thank you very much for this donation. Seriously, it's almost time to move to this full time. Zella has no fees for you or us. It's a more efficient way. I know you hate the idea of accepting funds. Yeah, honestly, what I'm really waiting for, guys, is for Twitter streaming to go live. If Twitter streaming goes live and allows people like tipping and or whatever on their posts and stuff like that, then I probably could afford to do this full time. I'm not going to make as much money as I do now, but I could potentially, like, I don't mind like taking a big pay cut in order to, like, follow your dreams. And my dream is to disclose advanced technology to the world. But we'll see. Also, I may set up memberships, and then people can be a member if you want for, like, I don't know what it is, $5 a month or something like that. But yeah, I appreciate it, BC. I know a lot of people want to donate, even though I tell people not to. So I will try to find ways to make that as efficient as possible for the people that want to. Maybe I'll do a Cash App thing or something like that. I don't know. I got to talk to some people about it, but it's not really my major priority. But thank you very much for the people who are donating. That's very, very generous of you and nice of you. And William Bill's an awesome guy. He's been following for a long time. He just wants to get the truth with the time he has left on this earth. And I think about William Bill a lot, as well as other people. And the truth is, I hope we can get it. But this is not going to be a race. This is going to be a marathon. So he says, I believe they're on the verge of saying it's real to help dissolve away. You're right. They're too big for repercussions. Yeah. Yeah, that's the truth, guys. And the truth too, real quick, guys, is that if they were to reach out to me and tell me, hey, please stop talking about this, we have a plan to disclose it or whatever, I might consider it. Just because, like, this is so messed up, man. This is so messed up. I'd want some contingencies or some, something in response. Like, there needs to be a compromise, but that I just see the way this stuff breaks people's brains. Like, there's a lot of people out there that just get their brains just completely melted by this. So I don't know. It's a tough situation. Okay, guys. So what we're going to be talking about here is, how does power work? Okay. How does power actually work? How does power flow? And you're going to be surprised by this. So I'm going to show, there's 2 videos we're going to go over here. And then after that, we're going to take a look at counterfactual wormhole teleportation protocols. So let's play along. Let's see what we've got here. I'm going to make some pauses in between this, partially so I don't get copyright striked. Here we go.
Data by Lutron.
Imagine you have a giant circuit consisting of a battery, a switch, a light bulb, and 2 wires which are each 300,000 kilometers long. That is the distance light travels in 1 second. So they would reach out halfway to the moon and then come back to be connected to the light bulb, which is 1 meter away. Now the question is, after I close this switch, how long would it take for the bulb to light up? Is it half a second, 1 second, 2 seconds, 1/c seconds, or none of the above?
Okay, guys, put your answers in the chat right now. So we make a super long circuit that goes like all the way around the world or whatever, right? But we've got our battery right next to our light bulb, but the circuit extends off to the side super far, kind of like this rubber band if I were to stretch it out. But you've got your battery over here and you got your light bulb over here. Which answer do you think is going to be? Half a second, 1 second, 2 seconds, 1 over the speed of light seconds, and where 1 is the distance between the 2, or none of the above? What do you guys think, my man? Be right back. Oh no, this is a Mexican Coke, by the way. I don't drink the American Cokes. I only drink the Mexican one. Okay, what do we think? Guys? None of the above. Lots of none of the aboves in the chat. Skinny Bob says none of the above. UGA says 1/c. 1/c. Juan says C. Yeah, I funny part. So I'll tell you guys, I thought the answer was C as well originally, that it would take the speed of light traveling around the wires, and that the energy would flow around the wires. That's what I thought. So hold on to your answers and let's listen and watch, and let's see if we can learn. Let's see if we can learn a little bit about science.
Now you have to make some simplifying assumptions about this circuit, like the wires have to have no resistance, otherwise this wouldn't work.
This part.
Unlike a battery, the electricity in the grid comes in the form of alternating current, or AC, which means electrons in the power lines are just wiggling back and forth. They never actually go anywhere. So if the
Okay, so that's already really big. So when you look at alternating current, it means that it's flowing, if it's going like this, back and forth. It's constantly flipping back and forth. Now, what that means is that the electrons aren't actually going the way you would think that they're not moving. They're technically they're moving, but there's more like wiggling. It's not like they're moving over long distances because the alternating current keeps rotating back and forth. So it's going to be going like this. So right away, we got to answer our question like, wait, so how is the power actually getting there if the electrons aren't actually, this electron here is never actually getting all the way back over here. It's just wiggling like this.
charges don't come from the power plant to your home, how does the electrical energy actually reach you?
Honestly, guys, this video is mind-bending. And here's the thing, guys. This video is going to help explain the ether. There's not, I'm showing this video for a reason.
When I used to teach this subject, I would say that power lines are like this flexible plastic tubing, and the electrons inside are like this chain. So what a power station does is it pushes and pulls the electrons back and forth 60 times a second. Now at your house, you can plug in a device like a toaster, which essentially means allowing the electrons to run through it. So when the power station pushes and pulls the electrons, well, they encounter resistance in the toaster element and they dissipate their energy as heat, and so you can toast your bread. Now this is a great story. I think it's easy to visualize and I think my students understood it. The only problem is it's wrong. For one
Yeah, so, the visualization right there is like, oh, this makes sense. The power is wiggling between the alternating current as it goes back and forth, and then anything that's along that current is just getting the energy. Now, Gerald says, hey, Ashton, there's a way of pulling power from copper cables 16 feet in the air between two posts. The cable is isolated from the post, and you take separate copper cable and ground through. Yeah, and part of that's going to be explained here as well. It's pretty wild, guys. The reason why they don't put these cables in the ground is because the ground acts as a capacitor and messes it all up. Yeah, actually, this is what you said. A capacitor to ground, you get power for free. So pretty interesting, guys. This is going to be pretty cool.
There is no continuous conducting wire that runs all the way from a power station to your house. No, there are physical gaps, there are breaks in the line, like in transformers, where one coil of wire is wrapped on one side, a different coil of wire is wrapped on the other side, so electrons cannot possibly flow from one to the other.
So right away, he completely dispels the myth because there's no continuous wire. They have two coils next to each other, so the power is jumping between one coil and the other.
Plus, if it's the electrons that are carrying the energy from the power station to your device, then when those same electrons flow back to the power station, why are they not also carrying energy back from your house to the power station? If the flow of current is two ways, then why does energy only flow in one direction?
And that's another great point, right? Is if the AC current's going back and forth like this, shouldn't the energy go that way and then come back the other way? It doesn't, right? It only goes in one direction. So how is this really working? So right away, we're starting to blow our own minds about how we think electricity works. And hopefully this will help for all my followers to understand out there how we really don't understand that much about electricity.
These are the lies you were taught about electricity. That electrons themselves have potential energy, that they are pushed or pulled through a continuous conducting loop, and that they dissipate their energy in the device. My claim in this video is that all of that is false. So how does it actually work?
By the way, guys, spoiler alert, this video triggered the hell out of the CNN brain people. We're going to get to that video after this, but this video made 1 million debunkers' heads explode because they had been taught wrong their whole lives. And this goes back to a post that I made about the ether related to what Matt Rife said about the Terrence Howard appearance, is that scientists and academics hate being told that they've been wrong and they were taught incorrectly.
In the 1860s and 70s, there was a huge breakthrough in our understanding of the universe when Scottish physicist James Clerk Maxwell realized that light is made up of oscillating...
This dude's a fucking G, dude. We need somebody, please, is Pepper Zolan's out there? Get the glasses, get the sunglasses in the joint for James Clerk Maxwell. James Clerk Maxwell's a G, and they just butchered his work.
Electric and magnetic fields.
So if you guys are, anybody's out there is new to this and you're not familiar with James Clerk Maxwell's name, get that thing permanently memorized in your head. James Clerk Maxwell, I mention him all the time. He's the father of electrical engineering.
The fields are oscillating perpendicular to each other and they are in phase, meaning when one is at its maximum, so is the other.
Okay, so when they're in phase, that's why when we look at these here, we see that they both are the same exact size. One's the magnetic phase and one is the one's the magnetic field and one's the electric in terms of the wave, okay? So when they're in phase, it means they're perfectly the same size, okay? So in phase.
Wave. Now he works out the equations that govern the behavior of electric and magnetic fields, and hence these waves. Those are now called Maxwell's equations. But in 1883, one of Maxwell's former students, John Henry Poynting, is thinking about conservation of energy. Now, if energy is conserved locally in every tiny bit of space, well, then you should be able to trace the path that energy flows from one place to another. So think about the energy that comes to us from the sun. I mean, during those 8 minutes when the light is traveling, the energy is stored and being transmitted in the electric and magnetic fields of the light. Now, Poynting works out an equation to describe energy flux. That is, how much electromagnetic energy is passing through an area per second.
Yeah, did I miss the equations back then? I think I missed the equations. So Vertasium, the name you see in the bottom left right now, that's the YouTuber that does this. He's got million. I don't think doesn't need our support. He's got millions of followers and millions of views on every single post. So dude's rolling in it. One sec, I'm gonna come right back to this. Did I miss the equations? Yeah, okay. These are so he lied right here. So Vertasium, we are debunking Vertasium, guys. These are the reduced equations. These are not Maxwell's equations. He falsely stated these were Maxwell's equations. These are Heaviside's equations. Do you know how I know these are Heaviside's equations? Because he's got the del cross B operator equal to 0. That's incorrect. It's actually equal to A. This is what Hal Puthoff, Tom Bearden, everybody else, this is what we've been talking about. The second equation you see on your screen here, the delta times B equals 0 is wrong. This is where they messed up. This is where the reduction in Heaviside's in Maxwell's equations was incorrect. It's actually equal to A. And once you set it equal to A, it's gravity manipulation time. That's how simple all of this has been suppressed from us. That's how simple it is. Just like that. Crazy, right? I couldn't believe when we dug into this that it's that simple. We don't need to develop new complex equations in order to understand gravity manipulation. It's been out there the whole fucking time. So the only thing we're debunking to Vertasium there on right now is the fact that he claims these are Maxwell's equations. These are Heaviside's equations that we see over here. These are the ones that were wrongly reduced. This is why we messed up. James Clerk Maxwell's a G. Oliver Heaviside fucked us. He fucked us over, guys. Okay, let's go back.
The Poynting vector, and it's given the symbol S. And the formula is really pretty simple. It's just a constant, 1 over mu naught, which is the permeability of free space, times E cross B. Now, E cross B is the cross product of the electric and magnetic fields.
Okay, so the Poynting vector is pretty simple there, right? So permittivity of free space, how much resistance there is for the electromagnetic field to go through free space, and then E is the electric field and B is the magnetic field. Seems pretty straightforward.
Product is just a particular way of multiplying two vectors together, where you multiply their perpendicular magnitudes, and to find the direction, you put your fingers in the direction of the first vector, which in this case is the electric field, and curl them in the direction of the second vector, the magnetic field. Then your thumb points in the direction of the resulting vector, the energy flux. So what this shows.
Okay, so you guys just learned Poynting vector. So nobody should forget how the Poynting vector stuff works. You take your hand, okay? This is the electric field flowing with your fingers. You curl your 3 fingers. Electric field's going this way, magnetic field's going this way, and then your Poynting vector is going to be your thumb. That's the vector of travel. Same way you see on your screen right here.
About light is that the energy is flowing perpendicular to both the electric and the magnetic fields. And it's in the same direction as the light is traveling. So this makes a lot of sense. Light carries energy from its source out to its destination.
But the kicker is this. Poynting's equation doesn't just work for light. It works anytime there are electric and magnetic fields coinciding. Anytime you have electric and magnetic fields together, there is a flow of energy, and you can calculate it using Poynting's vector.
Okay, so why is this important? We're talking about the flow of energy. We're talking about the flow of power. In the past, we've been talking about free energy systems. What did Thomas Bearden say about his free energy system? You trap the magnetic field inside the material, and then now you have energy radiating outward. So this is very important because we need to understand how the flow of energy works, especially related to magnetic fields and electric fields. And I'm sorry, my shirt is crazy. It looks so weird in the stream. I'm probably not going to wear this on stream again. It looks like I'm at a disco. What is this?
To illustrate this, let's consider a simple circuit with a battery and a light bulb. The battery by itself has an electric field, but since no charges are moving, there is no magnetic field, so the battery doesn't lose energy. When the battery is connected into the circuit, its electric field extends through the circuit at the speed of light. This electric field pushes electrons around so they accumulate on some of the surfaces of the conductors, making them negatively charged, and are depleted elsewhere, leaving their surfaces positively charged. These surface charges create a small electric field inside the wires, causing electrons to drift preferentially in one direction. Note that this drift velocity is extremely slow, around 1/10 of a millimeter per second. But this is current. Well, conventional current is defined to flow opposite the motion of electrons.
So this part's the thing I hate about electrical engineering is that the current flows opposite of the motion of the electrons. Because why? They just arbitrarily decided that. But whatever. It's still fine. And they technically move. They just move very slowly. So there's no way that they are transmitting the power. They're just like the vector for the direction of travel of the power.
But this is what's making it happen. The charge on the surfaces of the conductors also creates an electric field outside the wires, and the current inside the wires creates a magnetic field outside the wires. So now there is a combination of electric and magnetic fields in the space around this circuit. So according to Poynting's theory, energy should be flowing. And we can work out the direction of this energy flow using the right-hand rule. Around the battery, for example, the electric field is down and the magnetic field is into the screen. So you find the energy flux is to the right.
Okay, so I'm going to spoil it for you guys. So basically the wire is creating a magnetic field around it. So everywhere you use the right-hand rule, anywhere along the wire or on the battery, the direction of vector of the power flow is towards the light, towards the bulb, no matter what, every single area. So what it's going to create is it's going to create, just like with the Earth, for example, it's going to create these field lines going from, let's say, the South Pole, the battery, to the North Pole, the bulb, all the way around. But they're not going through the wires. They're going directly from the battery towards the bulb. Get ready for it.
Away from the battery. In fact, all around the battery, you'll find the energy is radially outwards. Energy is going out through the sides of the battery into the fields. Along the wires, again, you can use the right-hand rule to find the energy is flowing to the right. This is true for the fields along the top wire and the bottom wire. But at the filament, the Poynting vector is directed in toward the light bulb. So the light bulb is getting energy from the field. If you do the cross product, you find the energy is coming in from all around the bulb.
So look at this is the just money shot here, right? And I don't even know what I just said. I blacked out, guys. I think that the science is downloading into my brain at this point. But no, what we look at here is the energy is flowing directly from the battery to the bulb. So now we can start to answer the question that we had at the beginning, right? Is that the energy is not flowing through the wires at all. The wires are creating electric and magnetic fields, and the battery is flowing, or the energy is flowing based on those fields. So now we can understand that the energy is flowing directly from the battery to the bulb through free space. How can it flow directly through free space? Unless free space itself is a medium. Food for
It
thought.
takes many paths from the battery to the bulb, but in all cases, the energy is transmitted by the electric and magnetic fields.
People seem to think that you're pumping electrons and that you're like buying electrons or something, which is just so wrong. For most people, and I think to this day, it's quite counterintuitive to think that the energy is flowing through the space around the conductor. But the energy which is traveling through the field, is going quite fast.
Boom. Yes, exactly. Boom. This is in fact mind blowing. I remember I watched this like a couple months ago, and I was like telling my parents, I was like, guys, energy doesn't fucking flow through wires. What have we been getting taught for our whole lives? It's all wrong.
So there are a few things to notice here. Even though the electrons go two ways, away from the battery and towards it, by using the pointing vector, you find that the energy flux only goes one way, from the battery to the bulb. This also shows it's the fields and not the electrons that carry the energy.
So right there, oh crap. That was the best screenshot. Where'd it go? Right there, this one right here. So notice as well, the power is only flowing one direction. The power is not flowing two directions. The power is flowing from the source towards the light bulb. So now remember our alternating current example, going back and forth? It doesn't matter. The power is not going back towards the power plant. The power is going from the power plant to our lights, to our appliances, and it's not going back the other way. This proves it right here. So we're sending unidirectional power even with alternating current, even though it switches, because when we switch the current, all the fields change as well. The fields go in reverse. So all the magnetic fields flip. So if you change the current, the magnetic fields flip. So no matter which way the alternating current's going, the power is still going from the battery. Let me get my thing, eh? Where is it? Where's my other rubber band? Oh, there it was. No matter what, the power is going from the battery to the appliance, to the light bulb, no matter what. Even if you rotate it, flip it the other way, it changes all of the rotations of the flows of the magnetic fields, and therefore the pointing vector changes anyway.
And not the electrons that carry the energy.
How far do the
Sorry, technically the pointing vector is still going the right same way, but it like flips.
electrons go in this little thing you're talking about? They barely move. They probably don't move at all.
Now, what happens if in place of a battery, we use an alternating current source? Well, then the direction of current reverses every half cycle. But this means that both the electric and magnetic fields flip at the same time. So at any instant, the pointing vector still points in the same direction, from the source to the bulb. So the exact same analysis we used for DC still works for AC.
So for Abner, you got a little bit ahead of the game. Yes, for a battery, it's DC, but even with AC, it still works the exact same way, either way. Because if you flip the battery upside down, then all of your stuff's going to flip around. So either way, all the fields flip. So the pointing vector is still going towards the power source in either scenario. This is why AC power works. So this, again, like somebody just said, there is no empty space. There's no such thing as empty. We have to have a medium for this to be flowing through. In my mind, this proves that we need an ether. This is the reason why people are struggling. So for the people that are lost, just look at the yellow lines on your screen right now. The yellow lines are where the power is flowing. You can see the circuit, the metal circuit in the background. The power is not flowing through the circuit. Not flowing through the circuit. And imagine you elongate this now. So we have, let's say, I'll use this letter here as an example. So we have our circuit here, right? So you have your battery over here. You've got your light bulb over here. Now imagine you flip it so it's like this. So now you have your battery over here and you have your light bulb over here. The power is going to flow this way between these. So this current, this outline doesn't even matter because the power is going directly from the battery or from the alternating current directly to the light bulb in any scenario.
And this explains how energy is able to flow from power plants to homes in power lines. Inside the wires, electrons just oscillate back and forth. Their motion is greatly exaggerated here, but they do not carry the energy. Outside the wires, oscillating electric and magnetic fields travel from the power station to your home. You can use the pointing vector to check that the energy flux is going in one direction. You might think this is just an academic discussion, that you could see the energy as transmitted either by fields or by the current in the wire. But that is not the case. And people learned this the hard way when they started laying undersea telegraph cables.
So somebody asked too, do we even need wires? Why do we even need wires? All we need is electron flow. We just need a circuit, right? So as long as we can get the electron flow, then we don't even need wires anymore. Does that remind you guys of anything? Maybe any videos where there's 3 orbs circling around a plane? What if they're creating a circuit between them? Where's the power going to go? If those are the power, the batteries, where's the light bulb between a 0-point system? Right in the middle. At least that's how I imagine it. I could be wrong, but that's how I'm thinking.
The first transatlantic cable was laid in 1858.
It only worked for about a month. It never worked properly.
There are all kinds of distortions when they tried to send.
Enormous amounts of distortion. I mean, they could work it at a few words per minute.
What they found was sending signals over such a long distance under the sea, the pulses became distorted and lengthened. It was hard to differentiate dots from dashes. To account for the failure, there was a debate among scientists. William Thomson, the future Lord Kelvin, thought electrical signals moved through submarine cables like water flowing through a rubber tube. But others, like Heaviside and Fitzgerald, argued it was the fields around the wires that carried the energy and information.
None of them were right. It's not the fields. It's the fields. The fields are creating the flow of power. They're creating a separate field for the energy. So that's what's going on. It's not that the magnetic fields aren't carrying the power. Although, I guess in a sense, you could argue that they are, because that's how it's going from one place to the other. But the power is creating a new vector consistent with the pointing vector in terms of where the power is flowing. And it doesn't give a crap about what your circuit looks like. I mean, it may give it a crap about the shape of the circuit, but it doesn't flow through the wires.
And ultimately, this view proved correct. To insulate and protect the submarine cable, the central copper conductor had been coated in an insulator and then encased in an iron sheath. The iron was only meant to strengthen the cable, but as a good conductor, it interfered with the propagation of electromagnetic fields because it increased the capacitance of the line. This is why today most power lines are suspended high up. Even the damp earth acts as a conductor, so you want a large insulating gap of air to separate the wires from the ground.
Yeah, so the problem is if you put the wires in the ground, then the power is going to flow through the ground because it's a conductor. So you need an insulator so you can keep the energy within your wires. So you still get shocked because the energy in the wires is flowing through the wires because of how the wires are configured. It's not a closed circuit. So in this situation, the energy is flowing through the wires here. I mean, not technically the actual wires itself, but because of the fields of the wires themselves and the pointing vector, that's where they're flowing. But if you were to put this underground where there's conductors everywhere, now the energy is going to start flowing all over the place. Yes, it's the flow of energy that creates the fields. Exactly. The flow of energy itself, not the flow, not the fields of the magnetic fields, although those define what the fields of the energy are going to be.
So what is the answer to our giant circuit light bulb question? Well, after I close the switch, the light bulb will turn on almost instantaneously in roughly 1/c seconds. So the correct
almost instantaneously turns on. So even if you have your wires extend out for 300,000 kilometers. So just imagine that, guys. Your wires extend out for 300,000 kilometers. So I stretch this so much that it goes off the screen and you flip it on, light bulb turns on immediately. How is that possible? Answer is the power is not flowing through the wires. The power is flowing through the space between the location of the battery and the light bulb. Crazy.
answer is D. I think a lot of people imagine that the electric field needs to travel from the battery all the way down the wire, which is a light second long, so it should take a second for the bulb to light up. But what we've learned in this video is it's not really what's happening in the wires that matters. It's what happens around the wires. And the electric and magnetic fields can propagate out through space to this light bulb, which is only 1 meter away, in a few nanoseconds.
Yep. And yeah, so I could be wrong with the closed circuit stuff, whatever. You can correct me on that. Feel free to. I'm not opposed to being proven wrong. I am just trying to understand it myself, and I am a newbie when it comes to this stuff, even now. Somebody else also asked, blah, blah, blah. So do we need wires at all? I think the answer is I don't know. I don't think so. No. Under the right conditions, we don't. And this is where Tesla had electricity jumping from one location to the other. Under the right circumstances, you can potentially force the electricity to jump. The same way where in the beginning of this, he said the wires are not continuous. There's gaps in the wires. And so they put two circuits next to each other and the energy jumps between one to the other. So technically, wires are just to help and facilitate the process. In theory, you don't need wires at all.
And so that is the limiting factor for the light bulb turning on. Now, the bulb won't.
Yes, and so another good question. If the battery was far away, it wouldn't be instant. Correct. The further your battery is away from your light bulb, the slower it's going to be, but it's still 1 over C. So it's if you go like it, so assume 1 is 1 meter. So now if you make it 2 meters, it's going to take twice as long, but it's still relatively instantaneous because C, the speed of light, is a gigantic number. So relatively speaking, it's almost instantaneous, yes.
Receive the entire voltage of the battery immediately. It'll be some fraction, which depends on the impedance of these lines and the impedance of the bulb.
And then the impedance, so I think when you're talking about the impedance is whether or not what the conductivity is in the wires themselves. If you have a superconductive wire, then it's going to be instantaneous. Like then the equations are perfect. But if your wire has more impedance in it, then supposedly it's going to take a little bit longer. But I think we test that out later on. I want to show one more time just so you guys can see. So you can visualize it. So there's your
second
distance.
For the bulb to light up. But what we've learned...
Oh, wait, okay. Where's him turning the switch? So just pay attention when he turns the switch right here.
So what is the answer to our giant circuit light bulb question?
Imagine we have this giant circuit.
Well, after I close the switch, the light bulb will turn on
instantly. So what did we learn? We learned the power is flowing from the battery directly to the light bulb. Doesn't matter how long these wires are, it's flowing directly to the light bulb. That's your answer, guys. How can it even be doing that? How can the power be flowing directly to the light bulb through the vacuum of space-time and we don't even see it? That's what people need to wrap their brains around. To me, we need a medium. There's got to be a medium. Okay, so...
that this is one of those things that we use every day that almost nobody thinks about or knows the right answer to.
Mac boost. Okay, what do you say? There's a current flowing in the wire close to the battery. That sets a magnetic field. Yep, the corresponding wire coming back 1 meter away receives that magnetic field. Yeah, we're going to go to the next one, guys. You'll see. The next video is going to explain it even more, guys. Get ready. Okay, so here we go. That's the first video. We're going to do one more video tonight. This one's a little bit longer. We might not have time to get to the other stuff just based on how I've been going slow today. Okay, so remove this. So he did a follow-up video. Oh, God, where is it? How electricity flows. Oh, I have too many windows open. Oh, my God. Oh, here it is. Here it is. What's going on here? I have no idea. I have too many windows open. Oh, God. What? I don't know if I'm going to be able to find it. Oh, boy. I can't tell where it's playing, guys. One sec, chat. Oh, this is awkward. Here it is. Nope. Sorry, guys. I have it. It's you guys can't hear it. It's playing in my headset. I don't know where it is. Just started playing. How time work? Oh, there it is. I found it. Okay, I closed it. Whew. Oh my God! Stop playing. I don't know why they keep autoplaying. Okay, here we go, guys. Sorry about that. Where is it, man? Jesus. There it is. Finally. Okay, here we go. Sorry about the delay, guys. We're good. Whew.
battery and switch. And I asked you, after I close the switch, how long will it take for us to get light from that light bulb? And my answer was 1/c seconds.
And his answer is wrong.
We would be able to communicate faster than the speed of light.
That violates causality and common sense.
This is actually a bit misleading.
Misleading in a way.
Extremely unconvinced.
Naughty Mr. Veritasium has stirred up a right hornet's nest.
Clearly, I did not do a good job of explaining.
You see how triggered all the debunkers are, guys? Look at how triggered all the debunkers got right there. Like immediately, you've got all these people claiming that what he said was wrong, it's debunked, blah blah blah. This just goes to show like how stupid academics are that are out there, right? Like they can't even like. So if you guys feel like you're lost here, know that you understand this better already than a lot of people who are like PhDs and academics and YouTubers. Like you already understand it better than most of them just from watching that one video. This is how little people actually really understand how power works and how electricity works. Also, this should be another situation too, where you start to realize that like debunkers in general have no credibility at all. Just in general, they have no credibility. Everybody in the world, yes, exactly. There's a missing pixel. It's been debunked. Like everybody wants to be able to poop on something, right? They don't ever want to think about it logically, right? And we're not getting into flat Earth stuff and stationary Earth stuff right now, but they do get upset. Yeah.
Explaining what was really going on in the last video. So I want to clear up any confusion that I created. So behind me...
Okay, so I'm going to probably try to skip ahead through some of this. So what he does here is he creates a small scaled down version of it. He creates a small scaled down version of it here, and they have a way where they can calculate exactly how fast it's going through there to make sure it's accurate. Okay, he pulls in a guy from LIGO, the detector that detects gravitational waves. He has one of those guys come in. So this is where they set up a little... I don't know what you'll call it. Their detector to make sure to figure out how fast the energy is flowing. So here we go. And then here's the debunkers again.
Right.
The amount of power you get into the lamp over here.
People thought it would be negligible.
The amount of energy supplied by this is so minuscule.
Okay, so then they also argued, guys, they doubled down. So the debunkers doubled down on this, and they went, no, there's no way what he can said be true, because even if the power is flowing directly from the battery, so if we take our situation here with our so this is our circuit, you can have it either way. So imagine, I wonder if I have a pen. Oh, I don't have a pen. Okay, so imagine the battery is down here at the bottom, okay? And then the bulb is at the top. They were saying that the power flow from the battery to the bulb would be so small that it wouldn't be able to make the bulb turn on. So they were like, even if he's right, there's no way that there would be enough power to turn the bulb on. They doubled down on it. You guys can guess where this is going. Here you go. I love listening to all these like YouTubers just completely bury themselves, because we've been watching it with the MH370 videos where they just keep doubling down. They keep claiming they know how it works when they're wrong. It's just, we just talked about it at the beginning of this stream, right? Their favorite thing for people on YouTube and what have you to do is to claim they know exactly how it works and be 100% wrong. It's crazy.
A tiny effect, right?
The amount of power you get into the lamp over here, it's not full.
He meant the light turns on at any current level immediately.
That is not what I meant.
Well, actually, with that assumption, Derek's answer is wrong. The light never turns off, no matter the state of the switch. Some electrons will jump the gap and result in an extremely small, continuous leakage current.
Let me be clear about what I am claiming. Okay, it is my claim that we will see voltage and current through the load that is many orders of magnitude greater than leakage current, an amount of power that would actually produce visible light if you put it through an appropriate device. And we will see that power there in roughly the time it takes light to cross the 1 meter gap.
So he's like, okay, I got to clarify, because all these debunkers are coming at me and they're misrepresenting my arguments. They're making up fake stuff. And does this not sound familiar, guys? This is like exactly what we've been dealing with. These are the same kind of Reddit brain, CNN brain people that like, they're just so sure they're correct. And they've got to misrepresent all the arguments. It's wild.
But to understand why this happens, we first have to clear up some misconceptions that I saw in responses. Misconception number 1 is thinking that electrons carry the energy from the battery to the bulb.
Let's say we have a simple circuit with a battery and a bulb operating at steady state. If you zoom in on the light bulb filament, you'd see a lattice of positively charged cores.
Okay, so I'm going to probably just skip through some of this, but so again, what's going to be happening here is that it's not that the electrons are carrying the energy with them, right? The electrons are moving way too slowly for that. So he corrects that.
Slows down, and the metal lattice.
Yeah, and so here's the thing too, when you watch the electrons and they're bumping in here, this is the situation where you don't have perfect conductivity. So what happens when the electrons bump into things? They produce heat. So they produce heat. Now in superconductivity, they're flowing freely. In superconductivity, the electrons are flowing freely and they're not running into anything. That's the beauty of superconductivity. That's why it's this quantum effect where they're just not hitting anything anymore and they're just flowing completely perfectly.
It starts wiggling more. It heats up.
And like you just said right there, so we actually just had a little lesson. They heat up when that happens. And when we have superconductivity happening, which is only at very low temperatures as we think, although we believe that they can happen at high temperatures, that's when the electrons flow freely. So that's when you have zero resistance. So when we talk about zero resistance, we're talking about the electrons are not hitting anything anymore.
Ultimately, this is what causes the filament to glow and emit light. So a lot of people will look at this and conclude the electron carried the energy from the battery to the bulb.
And so the reason why that people think that the electron must be causing it is because when the electrons are bumping into stuff, the filament over here, that's how the light is produced. That's how the light actually turns on. The electrons are supposedly bumping into the filament up there. But even that, we are now being called into question.
It dissipated its kinetic energy as heat. But consider, where did the electron get its kinetic energy from before the collision? It didn't carry that energy from the battery. In fact, if the circuit has only been on for a short time, that electron hasn't been anywhere near the battery. So how was it accelerated before the collision? The answer is, it was accelerated by an electric field in the wire. The electron repeatedly collides with the lattice and loses energy, and after each collision, it is again accelerated by the electric field. So although it is the electron that transfers energy to the lattice, the energy came from the electric field. So where does that electric field come from? Well, a lot of animations make it look like the electrons push each other through the circuit via their mutual repulsion. So you might think the electric field comes from the electron behind it. There is the analogy of water flowing through a hose or marbles in a tube. This is misconception 2, thinking that mobile electrons push each other through the circuit.
Yeah, so this is the big thing too, is it's not a situation where the electrons are flowing through. Because again, with alternating current, it's just going back and forth. So really, the way I would conceptualize it is the electrons near the filament are just constantly bombarding it. Bump, 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 bump.
That is not how electrons flow in circuits. The truth is, if you average over a few atoms, you find the charge density everywhere inside a conductor is 0. The negative charge of electrons and the positive cores of atoms perfectly cancel out. So for each repulsive force between electrons, there is an equal and opposite force from the positive ion next to it. These forces cancel out, so mobile electrons cannot push each other through the wire. So where does the electric field come from? Misconception number 3 is that it comes entirely from the battery. This makes intuitive sense since the battery is the active element in the circuit. It has a positive side and a negative side, so it has an electric field. But this is not the electric field that all the electrons within the wire experience. Consider that the electric field of the battery is much larger close to the battery. So if its field were really what's pushing the electrons around, then if you brought the light bulb close to the battery, then the bulb would glow much brighter, and it doesn't. The truth is that the electric field in the wire comes both from the battery and from charges on the surface of the wires of the circuit.
So this is kind of wild here, where he said something really important there, is that even if you pull the bulb close to the battery, if it was just coming from the fields of the battery, then you would expect it to get brighter and brighter as you pull it towards the battery. But that's not the case. So that means there's got to be something else going on here, some combination.
Go along the wire from the negative end of the battery to the positive end, there is a gradient of charge built up on its surface, starting with an excess of electrons through to roughly no charge in the middle. As we'll see, the steepest charge gradient is actually across the load, to a deficiency of electrons, the exposed positive cores of atoms on the surface of the positive end of the wire. All these charges and the charges on the battery create the electric field everywhere inside the wires. They also create an electric field in the space around the wires. These surface charges were set up almost instantaneously when the battery was inserted into the circuit. You might think you'd have to move electrons a significant distance to create this charge distribution, but that is not the case. Even a slight expansion or contraction of the electron sea, with electrons moving on average the radius of a proton, can establish the surface charges you see. So the time for the charges to move is completely negligible, and the speed of the setup process is limited only by the speed of light.
Yeah, so right there, he's saying that the moment you add the battery, the moment you add the current to the on the left over here. Wait, can you see that? I don't think you guys can see my mouse. Never mind. But the moment you add that, it instantly is perpetuating at the speed of light throughout the entire circuit. And so really you could think of it more like, I honestly think the chain kind of makes sense, because it's not that the chain they're moving like that, but it starts the flow. It starts the process instantly at the speed of light. And so the crazy part is, again, that means if you have a really long stretched, if you stretch out your circuit, even though you stretch it out, you're going to have the power go from the battery all the way up to the light bulb, and it's going to make the area around the light bulb, the positive and negative charges, start vibrating the moment it can get there. One divided by C. And he's going to show a visual example if you can't follow that, which is going to blow your mind. So get ready.
Once that surface charge distribution has been established, the battery does continuous work to maintain it by moving electrons through the battery against the Coulomb force. In the load, the electric field created by all the surface charges accelerates electrons, which dissipate their energy in collisions with the lattice. So the battery is putting energy into the field, which electrons take out and transfer to the load. An electrical engineer who made a response video, Ben Watson, came up with a good analogy. That
guy looks like he's like 10 years old, but he does a really good analogy here.
Battery is like a shepherd. The surface charges are the sheepdogs responding to his orders, and the mobile electrons are the sheep, guided by those barking dogs.
Yeah, so that's a good analogy, I guess. So, the shepherd has the sheepdogs. The sheepdogs are corralling the sheep, and the sheep are, the electrons that are moving around. So he's moving them around. The sheep are out there. Send your sheepdogs out, have them move around, get that bulb on for me.
The surface charge description of electric circuits is omitted from most textbooks, but there is a great treatment of it in Matter and Interactions by Shabai and Sherwood. They also have a VPython simulation where you can see the positive surface charge in red and negative surface charge in blue. You can see how this entire charge distribution creates a net electric field, shown by the orange arrow, everywhere in and around the circuit. Everywhere inside the wire, the electric field has the same magnitude, and its direction is along the wire. The energy from battery to bulb, nor do they push each other through the wire. They are pushed along by an electric field, which is created by charges on the battery and charges on the surface of the wires. With this view of circuits, things that might have previously seemed mysterious make a lot more sense. Like, if electrons leave a battery at the same rate and with the same drift velocity as they return, how do they carry energy from the battery? The answer is they don't. They are accelerated by the electric field before each collision with the lattice. At a junction, how do the correct number of electrons go down each path? Well, they are guided by the electric field, which extends everywhere throughout the circuit. The fields are the main actors, extending everywhere throughout the circuit, and the electrons are just their pawns. So how does this apply to the big circuit?
So the field is what sends everything around, is what pushes stuff around. The fields are what's moving the power. It's not necessarily the electrons moving the power. I mean, that's the big takeaway from the conceptual perspective.
When the battery is connected into the circuit, even with the switch open, charges rearrange themselves. On the negative side of the battery, there is an excess of electrons on the surface of the wires and the switch. On the positive side, there is a deficiency of electrons, so positive charge is built up on the surface of the wires. The charges rearrange themselves until the electric field is zero everywhere inside the conductor. This electric field is due to all the surface charges and the charges on the battery. There is an electric field outside the wires due to these charges, but it's zero inside the wires. We now have the full potential difference of the battery across the switch, and no current is flowing, except for leakage current, which I'll assume is negligible. When we close the switch, the surface charges on both sides of the switch neutralize each other on contact. And at that instant, the electric field inside the conductor is no longer zero, and current starts flowing through the switch. Simultaneously, the new electric field from the modified surface charges radiates outwards at essentially the speed of light. And when it reaches the bulb...
So right there, this is the best example. So it's radiating outwards. This is the visual representation of how the power is able to get to the light bulb right away. So you see it radiate outwards, and now right away, you're already starting to see the shepherd and the sheepdogs are moving the sheep that are already next to the bulb. This is happening at the speed of light. This is why you can see, even over here on the right, the wires here have not even reacted yet. That's why you can have the wires extending as far as you want, and it doesn't matter. The power is moving directly from the battery straight up here to the light bulb at the speed of light. And it's happening from here because this is where the circuit is, where you're flipping the switch.
The electric field inside it is no longer zero.
So even right here, we can see the power is already flowing. We can see the electrons are already stimulated here. They're already making the light bulb turn on, and yet we have no movement whatsoever here yet. This is the answer. Kaboom, right? This is the best visual representation right here that will teach you why the power moves directly from the battery or from the switch to the light bulb. Somebody was already on it. So the orbs are somehow its own battery that is continuously sending out and taking in energy from the ether, and therefore always 100% charged, and they don't need to land to recharge. They're pulling energy from the ether. The orb is the battery. Actually, I would say the light bulb in the case of the plane is the plane. The plane is the light bulb. They're creating a circuit around themselves, a Tor -1, an azimuth, and then they're producing an energy field that's so powerful that it's actually ripping through the space-time itself. And that's what's getting the negative energy that we potentially need. At least that's how I've currently interpreted it. But yes, to your point, yes, they're literally extracting energy from the ether, from the environment, so to speak. And the orbs are the batteries. They're the charge. So whoever that was, Savage One, you were Savage One. I liked you, Savage One. Great comment on that. I was going to bring that up. Savage is spitting facts out here.
So current starts to flow here too. This is why I said the bulb lights up in 1/c seconds, because the bulb was 1 meter from the switch, and the change in the electric field travels out at the speed of light. As some of you pointed out, the answer should have been 1 meter divided by c, and I apologize for the casual use of units. If you were to move the switch, then the bulb would take a different amount of time to emit light, which just depends on the distance between the switch and the bulb. In response to my original video, Ben Watson simulated a model of the circuit using software from ANSYS called HFSS. It provides a complete solution to Maxwell's equations in 3 dimensions. Now, I have worked with Ben and ANSYS to make these simulations.
Okay, so now we're going to watch a couple simulations from Ben, and then I'm going to skip to the end after that because I think we've gotten through the main points here.
When the switch is closed, you can see the electric field radiate out.
Yeah, look at that.
As it hits the far wire,
so you can see the electric field radiating out. Once it hits this far wire,
it generates current.
Now
the electric field is to the right, so the electrons flow to the left. This simulation shows the magnitude of the magnetic field, which falls off pretty rapidly as it crosses the gap. But then a magnetic...
Boom, look at that. Once it hits here. So this is the one I like the best because you can watch it hit the top wire. You can still see it's still perpetuating left and right, but it's already hit the wire on the other side. Imagine your light bulb's up here somewhere.
Field appears around the far wire.
Look at that. So this is the visual representation that you guys should understand to figure out how the power actually works. Yeah, the simulation makes it all make sense, which is why I wanted to show you guys this one afterwards, as opposed to just trying to explain it. The simulation really helps to wrap your brain around it.
And this magnetic field is created.
So yeah, imagine the glowing here is now already the fields and the electrons already starting to move.
By the current in that wire. To me, this suggests that it really is the electric field and not the changing magnetic field that creates the current through the load. Some commenters on the original video claimed my answer of 3 or 4 nanoseconds violates causality. I guess they were thinking that the bulb would only go on if the circuit were complete, and it wouldn't if the circuit were broken somewhere, which could be up to half a light second away. So it seemed like I was saying we could get information about the status of the whole circuit, even half a light second away, in just nanoseconds.
Yeah, I don't even understand the causality argument, guys. Like, if people were struggling with causality on this, they're gonna really be struggling with causality on a wormhole. So I don't know where the causality argument was here, but whatever.
But that is not what I was saying. What I should have stated explicitly is that the bulb goes on regardless of whether the circuit is complete or not. The current flows through the load due to the electric field it experiences. To illustrate this, Ben added a wire below the circuit that is completely disconnected from it. And what you can see is that its response to the changing electric field is virtually identical to that of the top wire, at least up until the signal reaches the far end and reflects back. This is why my answer doesn't break causality. At least initially, connected and disconnected wires behave exactly the same.
Whoa. So even when the wire's not connected, this honestly brings up the question of Tesla now, right? Like, this is wireless transfer of power right here. And this makes sense because if you have 2 circuits next to each other, they don't have to be touching for that to transmit power across them.
Using this software, you can also simulate the Poynting vector, that is the cross product of electric and magnetic fields. In the last video, I showed how the Poynting vector indicates the direction of energy flow. And after the switch is closed, the Poynting vector points out of the battery across the gap to the other wire, whether connected or not. Because energy is carried by fields and not electrons, it can go straight across the gap. So you might ask, why do we need wires at all? Well, we don't. I mean, phones and
There you go. We don't, guys. Why do we need wires at all? There's your answer. We don't need wires.
Brushes charge without wires connecting them to a stream of electrons. And researchers have demonstrated remote charging using the energy from Wi-Fi signals. Wires are more efficient because they channel the fields and hence the energy from source to load.
So the wires are just more efficient because they channel the energy specifically through an exact direction. Wow. So we don't even need wires, guys. So yeah. This really, yeah, we got to look at that Mystery 70 videos again after this.
Here's another angle on the Poynting vector. And you can see once there is current in the top wire, the fields around it carry energy in both directions.
We don't even need to sustain the power either.
Also points parallel to the first wire, carrying the energy around the circuit as most people would expect. But again, note how the energy is carried outside the wires, not in the wires. Now, admittedly, thinking about circuits this way is complicated. And since nobody wants to solve Maxwell's equations in 3 dimensions just to analyze a basic circuit, scientists and engineers have worked out shortcuts. For example, Ohm's law, voltage equals current times resistance, is just the macroscopic result of all the current and voltage. This is called the lumped element model. Lump all this. So our original diagram of the big circuit is flawed because fields between the wires are important to the problem, but there are no circuit elements to indicate these interactions. To fix it, we need to add capacitors all down the wires. These capture the effect charges on one wire have on the other. If there are negative charges on the surface of the bottom wire, for example, they'll induce positive charges on the surface of the top wire. Also, since these wires are long, they're going to create significant magnetic fields around them, which resist changes in current.
And the Earth is itself a capacitor, so interesting.
So we model this with inductors all the way down the wires. We could also add resistors, making what electrical engineers would recognize as the distributed element model for a transmission line, but we're assuming that these wires are superconducting. So this is how we could model.
Yeah, so he just said superconducting there. In order to simplify it, they assume no electrical resistance as well. Okay, I'm going to switch ahead to the example.
And sending a signal down the wires. The characteristic impedance is equal to the square root of inductance divided by capacitance. And for our circuit, I measured the capacitance and the inductance of the lines. 11.85, call it microhenries. So we got a characteristic impedance of about 550 ohms. To maximize the power delivered to our load, we want its resistance to equal the sum of the other impedances in the circuit. So that's why we picked a 1.1 kilo ohm resistor. And I hope you're convinced that current will flow as soon as the electric field reaches the far wire. The question is, how much?
Are we going to see an appreciable voltage even with these lines a meter apart? That's what it seemed like a lot of people were doubting in the last video. So that's really what we want to.
So what do you guys think, guys? What do you think, chat? Do you think the battery? Do you think the light bulb is going to turn on, or do you think the light bulb is not necessarily going to turn on? You still think it's going to work this way? Let's find out.
Find out here.
Okay.
So now we're putting a pulse in there.
Yep. Oh, looky, Derek.
So what do we got? That yellow one is our...
We've got a fraction of the applied voltage, overshoot, and then...
So it looks to me like the initial voltage that we're getting is about...
5 volts per division, so it looks like about 5 volts. Roughly 4 or 5 volts.
The green curve rising up to around 18 volts is the source voltage, and the yellow line is the voltage across the resistor. So after just a few nanoseconds, this voltage rises to around 4 volts. Since the resistor was a kilo ohm, that means 4 milliamps of current are flowing in the resistor before the signal goes all the way around the circuit. So we were transferring about 14 milliwatts of power. This is what 14 milliwatts of light actually looks like.
Boom. So there we go. So we measured it, and we can see that even though it's a small amount of power, that's still enough to turn on a light bulb. So what they measured there is they measured how fast and how much the energy went from one location of the side to the other side. And they were able to, they basically scaled it down from the large version to see how much. And the answer is yes, enough to turn the light bulb on came across. If you are still confused, then you'll have to watch the video again for yourself, or you can rewatch the stream. I've thoroughly explained the phenomenon. It's definitely out there. If you're still struggling, just rewatch it until it connects.
So yeah, it's not a fully on bulb, but it is visible light, and way more than you would get from just leakage current.
Now, some of you may argue it's unfair to use a little LED when I showed a bulb and car battery in the original video. but those items were for illustrative purposes only. The clue that this is actually a thought experiment is the 2 light seconds of superconducting wire that stretch out into space. This is not an engineering question about how best to wire up a light bulb in your bedroom. The question was intentionally vague, and if you want to choose circuit components such that the bulb never goes on, you are welcome to do that, and I support your conclusion. Just to me, the most interesting way to approach this problem is to ask, how could you make the light go on fastest? I was worried that those long wires would pick up all the radio waves passing through, and we wouldn't even be able to see the signal for that noise. But you can see clearly on the graph that the signal is way above the noise level. Alpha Phoenix set up a kilometer of wire and got a very similar result.
So the light bulb turns on a little bit, and then after 1 light speed delay, the light bulb turns on the rest of the way.
YouTube.
Yep. So multiple people have recreated it, and they've shown that 100% the light, the power is transferring from the battery, from the source to the bulb. And there may be a small amount, but it's enough to be measurable and visible. So we can tell that the model that they promoted there is accurate, 100%. So there we go. Let's see if there's...
ZY simulated the transmission line circuit and found that even with realistic assumptions, he transferred 12 milliwatts to the load straight away.
Derek is actually more correct than we give him credit for. So I believe that he's correct on all counts, and the question is neither deceptive or requires like technicalities.
So everyone agrees that a steady, small, but way bigger than leakage current signal flows through the load in the first second after the switch is closed. Is it enough to emit light? Yes, if you use an LED. But the point of the thought experiment was to reveal something that's normally hidden by the way that we think about and teach electric circuits.
Yep. So that's, I mean, I think I've already kind of weighed it out. I'm not going to continue to risk myself getting copyright striked. But yes, so as we just saw from that, 100%, no doubt, the power flows directly from the battery to the light bulb. If you're still confused, that's the answer. The battery flows, power flows from the source to the bulb through free space, does not flow through the wires. That's all you really need to remember. Now let's rewatch. What did Complizziert say? UAPE is real. Yeah. Okay, so let's go ahead and watch the drone video again. Actually, I'm going to pull it up over here. So once again, that's Veritasium. All credit to him for his video. Veritasium. If you guys want to rewatch him, just go to his YouTube channel. You should be able to find them pretty quickly. Where is it? Here it is. Okay, so the question here, I suppose, is the orbs are essentially a battery, right? A very highly charged, high amount of voltage battery, like a massive one. And they're creating a field between them. This may be why they're actually able to stick in this 120-degree orientation that we see here. And when they are contracting on one another, again, consistent with Coulomb's law, we're seeing this exponential increase in force. So strong that it's allowing it to rip through the fabric of space-time right here, which seems incredible, but it also seems to be true. I will add the links in the YouTube description after this for you guys, so you guys can check it out. We're going to be going offline here in a few minutes anyway. So I will go ahead, and this, I think, as well, as Bob Greenyer said, we're looking at a topological monopole with respect to the orbs. I'm now even wondering, like, why don't we see the heat signature right there? Is it changing somehow? Like, you'll see here in a second, now the heat signature changes right there. Now we only see the heat signature on one side of it. Huh. They zoomed in on this for a very specific reason, guys. When we see that zoom in happen there, that seems very intentional. Pretty bizarre. Okay, here we go. I'm going to add another invite right here for you guys. Another Discord invite if you want. And then right here, right now, right there, you see where these blur like this? This is they're reorienting. So now I'm wondering, yeah, maybe they're changing their polarity or something like that. Someone said oscillation of polarity. Maybe there's something like that going on here. Like, this is definitely a device in here. These things have some kind of device in here, and they're being remote controlled. And you can see them. This is where they rechange their orientation the same time in the satellite video, In the satellite video, they slow down. And then they converge and they zap. And again, this convergence that we see here, consistent with Coulomb's law, that electric force is skyrocketing. Yeah, they could be tuning. Let me play it again. It's hard to see the exact heat signatures moving right here. The top one, they don't really like look like they're rotating towards the center of the plane. It looks like they've gotten into the right orientation, and then they're just moving toward the orb itself is moving towards the plane. I'm going to play it in slow-mo. I wish we could see a little bit further to the left right here. And it's hard because they flatten, so we can't really see what's going on right there. Yeah, that's a real wormhole, guys. Real wormhole. Unbelievable, guys. I mean, I can't believe that I'm alive when this is happening and we're watching this. The reverse orientation. I don't know that reverse is all relative, right? So I don't know what reverse orientation means. It's not that they're reversing orientation. It's like they're getting into an orientation where they're preparing for the zap right here. So right here, they're getting into orientation. You see them blur like this? They're reorienting. And then they come out of it right here in this frame. And when they come out of it, they're ready to go. Even here, you can see this one, like the heat signature here on the bottom is angled to the top left. And it keeps being angled. And it does kind of change there. Now it's angled to the top right. And that's it. So it does kind of change. This one up here on the top, though, is angled to the top left. And it keeps angled to the top left. And then it blurs. The one on the left, we can't really tell because it's cropped out. Yeah, I think from what we learned there, I would imagine the light bulb is the plane or the area around the plane. So the azimuth is going to be, imagine a circle connecting these three. That's our azimuth, you know, the sphere. Yeah, I can't get enough of this video either. It's amazing. Like, we're looking at something that's truly magical. Truly magical. If this video were to be confirmed, like Veritasium and every YouTuber related to electrical engineering would be doing videos on this, getting like hundreds of millions of views. They would be the most popular videos in all of YouTube. And they would be analyzing it. They would be doing exactly what we're doing. And we're way ahead of them. So if you're one of the people who's watching this right now, you are way ahead of the game in terms of, you know, what the public's understanding is. Have you seen the stereoscopic video with a 3D headset viewer? You mean the military one, the plural view 3D? Yeah, I've seen that. So one of the things that early on, we don't know, like the debunkers were able to cast enough doubt on this, which makes me wonder if some of these debunkers aren't literally fed shills. And they claim that this video I'm about to show right here, that like YouTube made it into 3D. But we really don't know. We can't say. There's no proof one way or another because the later versions were not 3D, but this one's 3D. And it would make sense for the video to be originally 3D because the military would want to track the object in 3 dimensions. And if it is, the military has these like glasses they can put on where they like are actually watching the videos they watch in 3 dimensions for tracking purposes, which would be consistent with what we're seeing in this video. And it's also consistent with the satellite. The satellite, there's actually 2 satellites right next to each other. Yeah, it's pretty amazing what we were able to do with reverse engineering. I didn't think we would be able to figure this much out, just like normal people like us. I'm going to just show this here. Poof. There it goes. Crazy, man. I never thought in a million years we would be able to figure this much out related to the videos. You know, I thought, oh, we could reverse engineer this. When I thought we could reverse engineer this, I just meant like figure out the concepts. But we have figured it out to a degree where I never thought was possible. So 6 months ago, you had asked me, I thought it's going to take me years. And it's only been 6 months. And we're already at the point where I'm like, wow, China and Russia have definitely figured this out. If you give us more PhDs and stuff like that that know more about electrical engineering, they're going to figure this out much quicker than I figured it out. And then they're going to be able to actually recreate this. Like, you know, you give them unlimited materials processing and how to make stuff, then they're going to be able to make those orbs. Okay, somebody else, Khalid. The energy source inside the plane was burning. I mean, the lithium-ion batteries burned. The orbs could have capacitors that release energy in the form of charging direction of each electrons as well as zapping. Yeah, it's hard to tell whether or not the batteries in the plane are a catalyst or not. I lean towards no, but it's not a definitive thing. I think these orbs can do it without it, but that'd be pretty wild if it was like the fire was accidental, but they were planning on orbiting the plane anyway. Like, what if they were planning on orbiting the plane and they need the batteries, but the batteries accidentally started on fire? How crazy would that be? But these are the details that there's no way for us to know that. There's just no way. It's too far in the realm of speculation to know whether or not. But it's fun to think about. It's fun to think about. China does have this technology. There's almost no doubt that they do. If you guys look up semiconductors, now we've learned. What did we just learn today, guys? We went through electrical engineering, and we learned that semiconductors are everything related to this. Like, it's all about electrical engineering. It's all about semiconductors. It's all about microchips that are semiconductors. And if you go look at even recently, Biden just put new tariffs on semiconductors. There's a literal trade war going on over semiconductors. Most of the world has no idea how important these things are. And that's how they want it. They don't want the world to know. Now, you guys know semiconductors are extremely important to this technology. And this is why the Freescale semiconductor people are 100% involved in the motive. Now, exactly how they're involved in the motive, we can't say. I lean towards espionage or counter-espionage, especially because we read that whistleblower thing the other night, which implicates that there's definitely like these espionage events going on, but I'm not sure. Yeah, tip of the spear. This community is definitely the tip of the spear right now. What propulsion do you think the orbs use to get into orbit? I think that they're using Alcubierre warp drive, but not like super speed. They're just bending space-time around themselves. And they're using some kind of harmonic resonance or something to like stick to the plane. And it's hard to really understand it. But the way we know that is because the second orb immediately gets into triangle formation without the third orb being there yet, which tells me that they don't need all three orbs. It's not like the orbs are all pulling and pushing on one another. Because if that was the case, the second orb would get into a line formation. It wouldn't be getting into two sides of the triangle. So I think it's somehow sticking to like the center of mass of the plane somehow. They could also be using like a radar to like direct them. There's a lot of options. The problem is a lot of this stuff we can't know for sure. Can't know for sure. What do you mean why the mouse cursor is on both sides? I think that, I mean, there's 3D stereoscopic, so you know it's two camera angles from both perspectives. Although I guess that's a good question too, but yeah, I don't know the answer to that. That's a good question to think about. Why maybe the mouse cursor on being both sides could indicate towards it not being an original stereoscopic, or it being, I don't know. You guys will have to tell me what your thoughts on that in the Discord. Not sure. But I would say that the answer is because what they did was if it was originally stereoscopic, they downloaded it in a format that wasn't 3D. They downloaded it in the original like side-by-side raw format. And that maybe when they were recording it in literal 3D. That would be my guess. Like when they're doing the screen recording, the person's looking at it in 3D, they've got the mouse on it, and then they, exported it in non-3D format. I'm just guessing. I don't know. Either way, whether or not it's 3D or not is not like vitally important to the case, which is why I've kind of backed away from that from the early on. Because yeah, I mean, we're just open to new evidence, Okay, sorry, I'm looking. Any other questions? Yeah, I've confirmed the amount of lithium-ion batteries. The amount of lithium-ion batteries is 487 pounds, 221 kilograms. Mentor Pilot was wrong. Mentor Pilot's video is objectively wrong. There was not 5,000 pounds of lithium-ion batteries. There was 487. The rest of it is accessories. I looked into it. I looked at the waybills. I confirmed it. So yeah, Mentor Pilot's video is wrong. I mean, no surprise. He didn't do a very good job, if I'm being honest. And he missed most of the evidence. I'd say Mentor Pilot addressed about 10 to 20% of the evidence, and missed about 70 to 80% or 80 to 90% of the evidence. And most of the evidence that he posted, he also got wrong. Which is just kind of sad because he got like 4 million views and he grifted like several tens of thousands of dollars off that video. And he didn't solve anything. In fact, he did more disservice to the case because he started this psychoanalysis of completely normal communications, which goes to show that he came into it thinking that he was going to try to prove his pilot suicide, which is very dishonest. Mentor Pilot, like, shame on you. You're a shitty human being. And I hope somebody send this to Mentor Pilot. Mentor Pilot, you are a shitty human being. You got the facts of the case wrong. There's literally no evidence that it was pilot suicide. And the fact that you tried to blame it on pilot suicide and promote the fraudulent whisper report cast doubt on your credibility in general. And I'm going to make sure in the future that you get the criticism that you deserve for your garbage video that you made. I'm just so sick and tired of these like fucking grifters and shit. They're putting their advertisements in the middle of their videos and they're used code pilot for 60% off bullshit. And they don't do any real work. And then they claim, well, I was just reading the ATSB report, and they get all of that wrong. And then they go completely off script and start doing psychoanalysis and shit like that. Like, they weren't just reading the ATSB report. They ignored like everything. So sorry I have to go there, but like it's true. And Mentor Pilot should do the right thing and issue a correction on his garbage video. All he had to do is reach out to me and I will correct him and I will help him out. But instead, these people double down and they claim, well, I got sign off from the families. Which family members? Which family members specifically signed off on your shitty video? I'm just tired of it, man. There's no way we're going to get our hands on the orbs. That's just never going to happen. I'll be honest with you guys on that. Yeah. I don't know about the guys. I don't know about the battery thing, man. Again, I just don't know, man. Maybe. Yeah, I personally think that they did start the fire. I think the fire is related, but again, we can't know. We can't know for sure. So a lot of it, like the U.S. government just has to tell us what they did, what the reason was, what their motivation was, if the fire was involved or accidental. We can't divine that, you know. And again, I don't want anybody like remote viewing the answers. We're not doing any psychic shit. No one's doing any psychic stuff here. There's gonna be no psychic stuff linked to this case. Okay. So we're not going to like try to divine the answers or look into a crystal ball and figure out what the answer is. We're just going to get the government to give us an answer. They know what happened to this plane. This investigation is proven beyond any shadow of a doubt. Beyond any shadow of a doubt. Even if those videos were fake, we know 100%, not 99%, 100% the government knows, U.S. government knows what happened to this plane. 100%. So because we know that, everybody, no matter what side you're on, should be wanting the government to tell us the truth. Therefore, if anyone out there is not trying to get the government to tell us the truth, they are being dishonest. We've also debunked all this bullshit about reticules and the reticle on the drone video. We've debunked all the VFX bullshit. We've debunked this fake 2D cloud picture bullshit. Everything's been debunked. These videos are real. Anybody not trying to get the government to get an answer about the videos and about what they know about MH370 is being dishonest. So please, once again, stop trying to make people ignore these videos. Please stop lying about the videos and let's get to the truth. And I think that's where I'm going to close it out tonight, guys. So thank you very much. I appreciate it. I answered as many questions as I could get to tonight. I will try to stream again tomorrow. I apologize we did not get to all of the science papers I want to. So tomorrow we're going to definitely do counterfactual teleportation. I read through it. It's pretty sweet. And we're going to look through those Hal Puthoff papers, and I'll try to add some more stuff in there as well. And then we'll answer more questions about the videos and what have you. So I appreciate that everybody wants to know more questions about the videos. I will, bring all your questions next time as well. Actually, I'm wrong. So tomorrow I've got the space. Let me promote that. And so tomorrow the space is with Dustin and Maze. That's going to be at 9 o'clock. So I may try to log on early so we can go over the scientific papers, and then we'll roll into the X space after that. That's probably going to be the plan. So maybe I'll spend like the first 30 minutes going over the scientific papers, doing some highlights, and then we'll do the X space with Maze and Dustin. That's going to be a Q&A about MH370. So bring your questions to this X space tomorrow. I'll re-promote that tomorrow morning. And yeah, that should be good. So thanks, everybody. Have a good one. I'll play us off here with some of, I don't have these other songs downloaded, so I'm just going to play the ones I've got here, guys. Peace, everybody. Peace, MH270X. Have a great night. Go Wolves. Let's do this one.
Welcome, step right up. Ashton and crew are about to erupt with facts like these. Who needs debunkers? We'll be beaming through space while they drive their cluster. Be a 4B, I'm a 4B. This investigation is legit. Be a facts debunkers can step off with their bullshit. Oh, no. Not the name book, what doesn't know best in the corridor crew? Well, the theories are a mess, haha. Who knows where this all goes? Bless the sky and those below, but liars and deniers can suck my black hole. Y'all don't come at me, bro. Be a 4B, I'm a 4B. This investigation is legit. Be a facts debunkers can step off with their bullshit. Oh, yeah. Try to steal your mind's elation. Monkey scrolls like Reddit trolls while Ashton gives education. Real evidence points to facts. I'm not the plainer with Malaysian. Macroscopic phase conjugation. Macroscopic phase conjugation. It's the edge of the world and all of its technological civilization. Bridge get walked right out of the sky to an unknown destination. Rewriting laws will drop the jaws of humankind stagnation. Macroscopic phase conjugation. Macroscopic phase conjugation. Atoms, files, and physics laws can lead to teleportation. Martini glass, don't forget to smash the like button on occasion. The engineers that disappeared, they didn't go on vacation. Macroscopic phase conjugation. Macroscopic phase conjugation. It's the edge of the world and all of the technological civilization. Let's get walked right out of the sky to an unknown destination. Rewriting laws will drop the jaws of humankind stagnation. Macroscopic phase conjugation. Macroscopic phase conjugation. Macroscopic phase conjugation. Macroscopic phase conjugation.